Hello, this is your Digi Daddy. Today we're going to be going over one of my favorite decks other than Red Hybrid in this format, which is going to be the BT12 Wargreymon. We're just going to jump right into it. We're going to do 4 copies of the plus 1000 DP Coromon. We just want really high numbers because we are going to be doing Piercing and Raid, which is a really fun mechanic to play around. Next, we're going to be doing 4 copies of the new Agumon from the BT12. It helps with the deck. It makes things just a lot better. On reveal, you can add 1 Digimon with Greymon or Omnimon on its name and 1 Taikamiya to your hand. And so, I mean, that's just really good. Next, we're doing the promo Agumon, which gives plus 2000. Fantastic, really good. Then we're going to be doing the Agumon X Antibody. On reveal top 3, add 1 Greymon or Omnimon and 1 X Antibody in their name to your hand. Fantastic. Then we're going to be doing the new BT12 Greymon. When digivolving, if you don't have a tamer with Taikamiya in play 1 of them from your hand without paying its cost. That's essentially, we digivolve for 2 on top of an Agumon, and then we play a Taikamiya for free. We're running a good amount of ties, and so we should be able to get them out pretty simply. Next, we're going to be running 3 copies of the Security Plus 1 Greymon. It's just really aggressive, helps with the consistency of the deck. Then we're going to do 3 copies of the Greymon X Antibody, which is when this Digimon has Greymon or Omni on its name, and in effect would delete it or return it to your hand or deck. You may trash 2 cards at the same level and this Digimon's Digivolution cards to prevent it from leaving play. Really good, essentially for protection right there. It is fantastic. Then we're going to be doing 1 copy of the restricted Greymon X Antibody. It essentially just makes, when you have this card out, just makes everything so much easier to build up into your stack and get some really good strength there. Next, we're going to be going into the new BT12 Metal Greymon. Gives Piercing as an inheritable, has Raid, which means you can digivolve up into the Greymon X Antibody, gain a bunch of DP, get Raid, be able to do a bunch of damage. It's fantastic. And you also get to digivolve for 3 on top of a Greymon with a Greymon in its name. So that's really good. Then we're gonna run, I like running 1 copy of the BT8 Metal Greymon. I think the de-digivolution effect is really good. And also the inheritable of attacking your opponent's unsuspended Digimon is really good. I personally like that a lot. And I'm debating running more, but this deck is pretty tight, so we'll see what happens. Then we're running 4 copies of the Metal Greymon X Antibody from BT9. This is when digivolving, you gain Security Attack plus 1 for the turn, and then this Digimon, when digivolving, it has Metal Greymon or X Antibody and its Digivolution cards. This Digimon gets plus 3000 DP until the end of the turn. If we have the inheritable Security Attack Metal Greymon plus the Raid and the Metal Greymon X Antibody, we can do a ton of damage. And plus we have all those inheritables of having that DP boost. So we're basically the damage of a boss monster within this deck. And it's so cool. It's so good. Next, we are going to be running 3 copies of the Wargreymon from the BT12 set. This is the main boss monster of the deck. Evolve 3 from a card with Metal Greymon in its name, so you can digivolve on top of Metal Greymon X Antibody for that cost. And then you get the Raid effect, and then when digivolving, plus 3000 and reboot. And then once per turn, all turns once per turn, when this target, when the attack target is switched, unsuspend this Digimon. So you can do a really cool play, really cool combo that I'll talk about here in a second. Then we are doing the 2 copies of Wargreymon X Antibody. It's a really good top end, especially for this deck where you're essentially just building a big stack and attacking for a ton of damage. And his effect when a card is removed from your opponent's security stack, gain a memory, is really good. And then one thing that I always forgot to do was end of the attack once per turn. If this Digimon has Wargreymon or X Antibody in its Digivolution cards, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with DP less than or equal to this Digimon's DP. That's not the end of the turn, that's just the end of the attack. And so basically you can get really big DP. Let's say if you have the Coromon and the promo Agumon in it, you're getting at least another 3000. So And if you went all the way from the Metal Greymon X antibody, you know, you're at 11,000, and yeah, it's really high numbers essentially is what I'm saying here. So you can do a lot with this card. And you could, so let's say you Digivolve into Wargreymon BT12, you attack, you do your raid, you unsuspend, and then on your next attack Digivolve into Wargreymon X antibody. You've pierced them, any blockers they have, and you're able to remove their security stack, which you gain memory for each of those. So you could possibly gain up to, you know, depending on how much security you're doing, 2, 3, 4, or even 5 memory, depending how much damage you're doing this turn. It is really good. Next, just the last Digimon, we're going to be running 2 copies of Omnimon, the BT5 Blitz Omnimon. It's a good finisher for the game, and yeah, it just, you know, it works with the deck with a lot of the searching we do. Next, we're going to be doing 2 copies of the BT1 Tai Kamiya, the Security +1. I like having at least 2 copies of this Tai just because it gives you more security attack, and also sometimes if you only have 1 copy you don't always see it. That's what I personally like to do. And then we're going to do 2 copies of the new BT12 Tai Kamiya, which gives your start of your main phase and on play one of your Digimon with Agumon or Greymon in its name plus 1000 DP and blocker until the end of the opponent's turn. Some good defensive tools, but then also when one of your turn, when one of your Digimon digivolves into a Digimon with Greymon or Omnimon in its name, suspend this tamer to gain 1 memory. So really, we have a lot of efficiency within this deck, and the memory, it just adds a lot. I might bump this up to 3 just because it is that good, and we do have a lot of searchers with Tai in the name. Then we're going to be running 2 copies of Cool Boy. We are doing a lot of X antibody shenanigans within this deck, and so I personally like to run it at only 2 because we do want those X antibody options, but it is not the main thing that the deck does, so I'm cutting it down to 2. But just like with the new Tai Kamiya, we'll see what happens. We're always getting support with this deck, and so there's lots of different ways that you can run it. Next, for the tamers, we're going to be running just 1 copy of Yuya Kuga. It's a memory setter, but also it just, when we digivolve into a Digimon with Greymon in its name by suspending this tamer, it gets plus 2000 DP, and if it digivolved into the same level, which we do a lot within this deck, that Digimon isn't affected by opponent's option cards until the end of your opponent's turn. So it's some good defense, and it goes really well. It's just Greymon. It's not Greymon X antibody and so it's just really good. And then for option cards, we're going to be running 1 copy of Red Memory Boost. I might bump down some Digimon to bump this up to 2. It's fantastic for the delay effect. We're going to be doing 2 copies of Hades Force just because it is one of the most insane cards in the whole deck. If you don't know what Hades Force does at this point, well, let me tell you. When you use this card, if you have a Digimon with X antibody, its Digivolution cards in play reduce cost by 2. So it goes from a 7 down to a 5. And then choose any number of your opponent's Digimon and or tamers who combined play costs are less than or equal to the play cost of one of your Digimon. So we could do our 13 or our 12 play cost Wargreymon, and then delete all the chosen cards. Then one of your Digimon with Greymon in its name attacks a player, and then the security effect is delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the highest play cost. So it's insane. You are essentially giving up a ton of memory, but you're essentially gaining the Blitz ability, and you're just deleting a lot of their board. At least a level 6 or lower. And yeah, it's an insane card. I'm surprised it wasn't restricted, but you know what? We're gonna play 2. I might play 3. We'll see what happens in the future. And then just 2 copies of the X antibody option. It's really good. You can play 2, you can play 3, but I think 2 is pretty good, especially for this deck. That's the deck profile. This is just the version 1.0. I'm going to be playing this a lot throughout this set and beyond. It's still getting tops in Japan, and so with future sets, it's still doing really well. So that's what I'm going to be doing in future sets. Thank you. Have a great day. And remember, like, comment, subscribe. When we hit 100 subscribers, we're going to be doing a giveaway and opening a Discord where we can do tournaments and just a lot of really fun Digimon stuff. Thank you.